In an action story, writing good fights matter because fights are problem solving, and good problem solving is a major part of good plot development. I'll explain how low the bar can be for writing a good fight, but I need to start with Death Note and Code Geass. These are two critically acclaimed anime, with their strongest suit being their plot. Both Light and Lelouch problem solve by coming up with schemes to outwit their opponents. It's not fist fighting, but I'll get there. What's interesting about this duo is that both of them are one of the most competent characters in their respective stories. They have nearly all the abilities necessary to solve their problems from the first episode, and they don't improve much over the course of the story. In simple terms, they are overpowered in the context of their story. Usually, overpowered characters are a symptom of poor writing. However, the problem solving of these two never gets boring. The reason is that even when they are going against opponents with far lower skill levels, each problem is unique, which results in each solution being unique. They may have much higher intelligence stats than everyone else, but they have to use that intelligence in different ways to solve each problem because the problems are unique. Take Light versus Ray Pember. Light completely outclasses Ray in stats, but due to the unique problem of Ray being an FBI agent who is following Light and Light's desire to keep his identity a secret, he has to find a unique way to get Ray's name, threaten him into giving him the names of all the other agents, and then kill them. No other solution is like this in Death Note. To recap, Light and Lelouch are overpowered in their stories due to their high competency that allows them to solve problems easily. However, their problem solving is still interesting because each problem is unique, which requires an equally unique solution regardless of how competent the characters are. Not every problem is easy for them, but most are. Now we can get into the action genre. The action equivalent of these schemer characters would be an action protagonist who has a high amount of competency, like speed, strength, and durability, that allows him to solve problems easily. But their solutions would all be unique because their problems are also unique. Jotaro Kujo from JoJo Part 3 is the closest match to this. His stand has super speed, strength, and precision above almost every other stand, while he himself is the smartest fighter in the story. He has one upgrade in the very last fight, meaning that he was overpowered from the start. But his problem solving, his fights, don't all look the same because every problem is different, so every solution is different. Just like Light and Lelouch are forced to use their intelligence in different ways, Jotaro's also forced to use his superior stats in different ways. This is basically the blueprint for creating an overpowered action hero while still maintaining good fights, thus a plot. What is the importance of this? Well, let's decrease the quality of writing a little and observe the changes. Rewind the clock to Dragon Ball Z. DBZ has overpowered, hyper-competent characters, but the cracks start to show with the problem solving. Nearly every powerful character in DBZ uses their stats in the same way, creating the same problems and solutions. The problem is that the opponent is too fast or strong. The solution is to become faster and stronger. Unlike JoJo's, the problem solving is repetitive and uninteresting. It'd be like if Light and Lelouch used their intelligence in the same way, facing the same problems and creating the same solutions. It'd be lazy plot writing. DBZ does have some tactics every now and then, so let's drop the writing even more. I don't like doing this, but the West has to take this bullet. Western action stories often fall into the trap I just mentioned. All the problems are mostly the same, which means all the solutions are mostly the same, which results in boring and repetitive action scenes, and thus weaker plot writing. It doesn't matter if it's superheroes, shootouts, or fistfights. Characters are often faced with a problem of raw power or skill and use the solution of overpowering or outskilling. The fights are like smashing action figures into each other. Examples include superhero shows like Invincible, The Boys, Daredevil, Teen Titans, and Avengers, and action movies like James Bond, John Wick, and Jason Bourne. Even though I like some of these stories, it's hard for me to say that their action scenes are well written from a problem-solving lens. A lot of the problems look the same, and they have similar solutions. This is not only a problem in the West. Some action anime have this issue too, but there are several action anime that don't, so it's not as glaring. Let's downgrade one last time. When stories like Invincible and The Boys have inconsistent competency and movesets, that negatively affects the fights, which negatively affects the plot. It isn't just power scalers and meatheads complaining about small things that don't matter. Flaws in the fight quality, from a problem-solving lens, are flaws in the plot. If one of Light or Lelouch's schemes didn't make sense, would it make sense to chalk up the complaints to eggheads and intelligence scalers whining about petty topics? No, because that's the plot. In the same way, fights are the plot in action stories. When the fight doesn't make sense or isn't entertaining, the same quality is reflected onto the plot. So on the lowest level of action, there are stories with inconsistent character stats which creates unsatisfying solutions. On the next level, there are consistent stats and competency, but the problems all look the same, so the solutions are all the same. Then on the highest level, the stats are consistent, and the problem is unique, which means that each solution is unique. This allows hyper-competent, overpowered characters to exist because every fight looks different. The action hero doesn't just solve everything by speed blitzing or overpowering everyone. There are many ways to create unique problems in an action scene, but battle manga like JoJo's often use magic systems that give each character a unique ability, a unique problem. Some stories use fighting styles, weapons, or setting, You can mix and match, but a magic system has been the most proven method for consistently producing unique fights. All of this shows just how well written battle manga fights are on a fundamental level. The schemer genre can't get away with mediocre problem solving. The action genre can. However, the battle subgenre actively strives to operate on the highest level possible within universal fundamental writing skills. I respect that. In conclusion, fights are problem solving, and problem solving is part of the plot. Therefore, good fights are signs of a good plot and vice versa. An action story with bad fights receives damage towards the plot quality. It's not something that you can wave away as a power scalar issue. Finally, the secret to creating great fights, even if your hero is overpowered, is to make each problem and solution unique, just like with schemers such as Death Note and Code Geass. Subscribe for more academic analysis on anime.